Good afternoon. Once more, we're back working on the Martin Dreadnought build. I need to stop referring to this as a D28 because if it's not a Martin, a real Martin, it's not a D28. It's a Dreadnought. Even though it's going to be an exact copy, we're going to stop calling it a D28 because Martin gets a little touchy about folks using their nomenclature. So anyway, we're going to be gluing in the lining for the guitar. The purpose of this is to make this edge here wider so that when we glue the top on, there will be enough surface area there for the glue to get a good bite. Just the edge there is only about 70 thousandths of an inch, so you can see that's pretty narrow. That's not enough gluing surface. So what we do is we add lining to this. Some people call this kerfing. That's a little bit incorrect. Kerfing is the actual slots there. It's kerfed lining. So when we glue it in like that, you'll see that actually then makes the gluing surface much wider there. Up till sometime, I believe it was in the mid 1850s, Martin glued these in. Each individual little wedge was glued in separately. As a matter of fact, that's one way to date one of the really old Martins is if it has individual little blocks, you know it was made before a certain date. And like I say, I think it was sometime in the mid-1850s. So it's pre-war guitar, pre-Civil War guitar. So anyway, we're going to start here by applying a little bit of glue to the back of the lining. And spread it out a little bit. We want enough glue to cover the surface and make sure there's enough for a good bond, but we don't want it squishing out and making a mess in the guitar. So it's kind of a close tolerance thing there. Too much glue makes a mess. It makes a good strong joint, but it makes a mess, and too little glue and you don't have a good joint then. So what I've done is evenly spread the glue out there. Now just wipe it off on the edge there. And we start out down here on the tail block and we bring it around. And we want to make sure that the kerfing itself is a little bit proud of the edge, because remember we contoured this edge. We radius that with the sandpaper, and what we want to do is make sure there's enough meat sticking of the lining sticking up above it so we can go sand that down again and make a nice surface for gluing it. Now we got another special tool here. I don't know if any of you recognize these, but these are just exactly what they look like. They're old wooden clothespins. Now before you laugh at this too much, if you take a tour of the Martin factory, you'll see that this is exactly what they use to do this same task in the Martin factory. So if it's good enough for building $3,000, $4,000 guitars, I think it's good enough for me to use. Now on a Dreadnought body shape, this is fairly easy to do because the curves have a pretty wide radius. On some of the smaller guitars, like this one right there, this waist here is really curved, and what I do is heat up the this lining so that it goes around that waist without cracking it. It loosens it up a little bit so you can follow the curves a little easier. But this is what we're doing here. You go out and buy 4 or 5 bags of clothespins, and you put them on all the way around. And once more, we take another piece of the lining. Make sure that I don't have, yeah, there's a little bit left over there, so I'll have to trim a piece to go in there. So we smooth the glue out. And like I said earlier in one of the earlier videos, we are using fish glue, which is a animal protein glue like hot hide glue, but the nice thing is it works at room temperature. The glue sets up the same way as hot hide glue, and you don't have to deal with critical temperatures of the glue and everything. So let's do one more piece like that, and like I say, we want to make sure it's just a little bit higher than the actual edge of the rim, so that we've got some to sand down to. Now this is just a little tedious, and you go through a lot of clothespins here. And as you can see, you can only do one side at a time, or one, the top. When that's done, then you can remove the clothespins and then flip it over and do the back. Alright, now what we do here, because this needs to go, make sure all that's seated in there good, needs to go all the way here to the neck block, so what I do is measure out a piece and just snap that off. You notice it's really thin there where it's curved, so it just kind of snaps off real easy. And let's see, let me get a chisel here to kind of trim the end of that off a little bit. Can't see what I'm doing here probably, but there was a little bit sticking out there and it was a little tight, so I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too tight. Now this kerf lining is made out of Spanish cedar. To me, it is one of the best smelling woods ever. It smells, you open up a box of this stuff and it's just a wonderful smell. They make, it's used for cigar humidors also. It is not a true cedar. It doesn't smell like what a normal, like a cedar chest or something like that. It has more of a peppery smell, and it's just got a wonderful aroma to it. So, let's see. There we go. So, that's basically it. You just repeat this process all the way around. Let it dry, whatever the dry time is for your glue. I'm going to let this dry overnight, and then you just remove the clothespins, flip it over, and do the other side. And then we're going to do a quick cleanup again with the radius dishes to bring this surface down, the gluing surface there, down to the edge that I've already sanded there, so that we got a nice, even, uniform gluing surface that the top will glue to and glue solidly to. And that's it for this week.